This Epiphone was launched in 2020, and I've heard so many glowing reviews, I decided maybe I'd better check this one out. It is, of course, the Epiphone Limited Edition 1959 Les Paul Standard. I'm sure most of you are aware of this model and probably already know a little something of the specs, but I'll quickly go over them. Of course, it's the usual mahogany neck and body with the maple cap. In this case, the flame top is a veneer, but it's a good-looking, well-matched veneer. The binding is very well done, perfectly flush with the wood, and free of the roughness and tooling marks you can often find on the Gibsons. Now, it appears to be a two-piece body, and I think it looks great. You have to look carefully to find the seam. The neck is a three-piece construction, or five-piece if you count the headstock wings. The headstock is a scarf joint, and there's an additional piece where the neck joins the body. The seams are very subtle, and again, you really have to look for them. This saves a lot of wood, and really, there's probably no advantage to a one-piece neck other than conforming to tradition. Like all current Epiphones, the fingerboard is Indian Laurel, and it's the usual 24 3/4 scale. Now, I tend to prefer dark rosewood, so the Laurel is really not my favorite, but this one looks fine. I oiled it when I changed the strings, and honestly, it looks as good or better than a lot of the rosewood you see these days. The neck is a nice full C, and doesn't feel quite as fat as the 50 Standard or Special I reviewed last year. It's still plenty chunky and will probably be more comfortable for most players. It's about 22.5 millimeters or 0.885 inches at the first fret and about 26 millimeters or 1 inch at the 12th. Now, the guitar is advertised as having a long neck tenon, so I removed the neck pickup and confirmed that is indeed the case. But the star of the show here is the electronics. We have a pair of Gibson-made USA Burstbucker pickups, CTS pots, Mallory caps, and a Switchcraft three-way switch and output jack, so no upgrades are necessary. So if you're asking why this model is a full $300 more than, say, the regular Epiphone Les Paul 50s model, those pickups alone retail for about $150 each. And if that isn't enough, this model comes with a nice hard case, which is designed to look like the Gibson custom shop case. Though, in truth, the quality is about the same as any Epiphone case. So there are a lot of positives here, and I can see why the buyer reviews have been so favorable. Personally, I'm not entirely sold on this finish. It's supposed to resemble the aged VOS Gibson finishes, but really it just looks like a satin finish. Now there's nothing wrong with it, just not my preference. I'd probably try to buff it to a little more gloss. The frets are reasonably level, though there are a couple of very slightly high ones at the 15th and 18th fret. Still, it plays fine. The fret ends on this one are pretty prickly though, and it really needs to be gone over with the fret end dressing file. You know, it's not difficult or particularly time consuming, but it would have been nice if it had arrived with better finished fret ends. While the problem is common on guitars at this price point, it's not something you have to address on, say, a PRS SE or a Sire, or quite a few others, and I'd like to see Epiphones step up their game here. As it is, I think it's luck of the draw, because the 50s Gold Top I reviewed last year had near perfect fretwork. Otherwise, this is a solid Les Paul. It feels and sounds right, and if it doesn't have to say Gibson on the headstock, well, it's certainly worth a serious look. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If so, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you again very soon.